Good evening, everybody. Hello. Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're going to start the panel right now by just watching a video. Actually, from
We all know that 2020 will be remembered as the year of the coronavirus. A once-in-a-century pandemic that devastated families, crushed our economy, and caused record unemployment. However, despite a very weak economy, the housing market continued to thrive, and Latinos increased their homeownership rate in 2020 for the sixth consecutive year, the only racial demographic to have 6 straight years of growth. Experts predict that this trend will continue because Latinos are passionate about homeownership and are the youngest demographic in the country. In fact, with an average age of 29 years, a majority of Latino adults are just starting to enter their prime home buying years. For these reasons, the Urban Institute, a Washington, D.C. think tank, predicts that over the next 20 years, 70% of homeownership growth in the United States will come from the Latino community. While there is good reason to be optimistic, there are barriers that can slow future Latino homeownership growth. The financial impact of the pandemic has hurt Latinos disproportionately. Qualifying for mortgages has become more difficult, especially for self-employed borrowers, and an extreme shortage of housing supply are all problems that need to be solved in the next few years. Getting government policies that impact Latino homeownership correct not only affect the housing sector, they have broad implications for our overall economy, as housing accounts for 60% of the nation's gross domestic product. And it's housing, more than any other sector, that's pulling the country out of the coronavirus-induced recession. The pandemic has taught us that the future is not guaranteed, but it's also illustrated that how the housing market fares, so goes the U.S. economy. And no demographics play a more central role in America's housing economy than Latino Americans.
Okay.
And that's an app on your phone, that's KW.
So we're gonna throw some facts real quick with numbers because I love numbers, and numbers can dictate where we want to be, right? So here's some need, right? Spanish community purchase real estate in low or income areas. Fact, majority, 1% of real estate purchase financed by Hispanic borrowers in 2023 were both in middle and upper income census bracket, right? And I can tell you that because from my own plans, I can see that huge share. Hispanic are buying real estate younger, right? So if you see here, Hispanics 48.8% were under 35, non-Hispanic 39.9%. Investment products 14.6 under 35 years old, 12.9 were under 35, that were non-Hispanic. And this is also an interesting fact, actually. Upper income, for Hispanics, 20%, 43 is like more like middle class, and then 4% will be like actually low income. And now we can start back. So, Mark, we're going to start with you. Okay. What are some of the best practices that have led you to your success?
So I think some of the best practices that led to my success have to do with winning in the morning. That's kind of like something that you always hear about. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's definitely something that I practice, try to go to sleep at 9, try to meditate, try to journal, and do affirmations, I plan a lot. It's just like during the morning, I'm like, take emails, no one's trying to call me, no one's trying to text me, so I could actually plan my whole day and just be in practice, just forward in the morning. So that's one of the things that helped me a lot in my career. Definitely coaching, being in your own time. That was one of the key things, just kind of expanding from everyone. Another aspect, I would say, systems. You hear that all times. It's like, how do you do this easier, better? systems where follow boss, it kind of automates action plans that anyone, whether it's a seller, whether it's a buyer, whether it's an investor, whether it's a renter, it's going to be a future builder, or just a first time buyer, they're going to get an automatic trip from me, and it's just, it's like, and it tracks everything. So CRM is very important because you want to be able to they were you want to be able to drop a pie during Thanksgiving. You want to be able to send them the holiday or automate that. That's the key to what we do. Because a lot of times we can't, and we're busy. You know, some of the things that I'd say I help them.
Okay, I believe that was also the second question already. How do you do this?
When you first start off, so it's a struggle. So every time you can leverage relations that your office already has. So if you see anything new that hits the market, I would sit down. So it's kind of like that's how I started my business with open houses. That's everyone does something like that. And then I just started doing virtual assistants. So I started with like Thailand, and then that went well. I just edited it out. And then before you know, I moved to a full-time assistant. Then I had another part-time. And then I just had saying, what else do I need help? I want to concentrate 70% of my time in generating, 30% just as planning, delegating, thinking, strategizing. So I took out a personal assistant. And then it was going to have a kid. I was like, well, I can't do that. I got to get my career. I planned to. So that was something that helped me out. Because getting kids ready in the morning for my kids. My kid at night, she's happy. So, and babysitters. They're now in the peak market, full market. And if I'm out 5 days a week for appointments, I wouldn't be able to have a babysitter. I also use short agents when I can't show. So when it gets super crazy, then I have short agents. So I use 2 or 3 short agents. So I try to leverage as much as I can in terms of that, right? Which does people use QuickBooks that have a payroll company through your payroll. That's not so that's probably if you're past save some taxes. So those are the ways that I've been able to leverage my time. That's a small way to think of standard myself. And it's possible. So you need a lot of help. You gotta go slow. And everyone that's around you, or everyone that's done it before you, will do your own thing, which you gotta replicate success. So I would say those systems have been pretty key for me. And I use MailChimp. I use Letter twice a month. I do meet with all my virtual assistants via Zoom, so we can be on 8 hours a day. I use Overwhelm for my open houses. So automatically, it's electronic, it's on my iPad, they sign in, all the information is on a little piece of paper. They look to see what the person before they gave phone number or email, so you don't do that. I use I made a business suite for all these people that anyone that does social media, it plans everything now. So automatically we do the weekend and throughout the week it posts automatically to Facebook, Zillow, Facebook, Instagram, and all the business pages and Google. So you want to have a system like that, you kind of set it together for this term. And that just is something that I recommend everyone just update your Google profile, your biography, and just your YouTube as well. And just make sure because people Google you is right now the system out there. It's like Amazon. They're gonna say, hey, what are you saying? They're just gonna look at your reviews. They're gonna make a quick decision and reset it where they're gonna use you. So you have to be you gotta be one of the two people they think about. Any questions?
Well, questions are gonna be for the end,
Okay.
okay? But now, nobody's getting the same questions. So Pete, you're gonna get some further, okay? So how do you get to become a real estate investor?
Pete Russell, I started out here in marketing. I'm a mainline now, come back and forth. I started out about 15 years ago. I bought a shell in North Philly, like 5 or 6 grand. It was, it was cheap. So I bought it, finally made access. There was a tree growing through the back of it, and it was the whole, it was a mess, man. But I learned real quick, the places before you buy them, hire contractors, learn how to deal with them, still learning how to deal with them. Friend told me to convert it, the stairs on the same side as the steps. You can do a duplex. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. So that little place in North Philly was making like $1,100 like 15 years ago. So I was like, all right, I can probably do this. You know what I mean? So I'm a fireman by trade. So I'll take my money, and as I earn money, I'll put money down and buy another one. And I learned the hard way to leverage equity, but I learned that later on in life. So now I'm up to about 25 properties, and I'm just trying to work it out. I got a virtual assistant, via Martin. He recommended the company he was using. I use them, and that's how I balance all this by myself, which is a little difficult, but I'm trying to keep all my money up in management. But Martin's like, you gotta leverage that at some point. So he's been a good friend and a good mentor, and I'm just figuring out this investor space. And as you continue to invest, it does start to snowball, and you start to just kind of take your W2 money, whether you're a realtor, firefighter, whatever, and just keep reinvesting it. So that's kind of how I became an investor.
Well, I feel like you already like pushed this topic, but what recommendation do you have for someone that is looking to become an investor?
Become an investor. Just start. Don't hesitate. Don't get scared. You create no objections. The fact that we're all here trying to learn and grow and how to be an investor. At one point, I was trying to be a realtor. I was already an investor, and I was like, I want to be a realtor. I mean, 5, 6, 10, 12 grand house. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm already an investor. Let me just keep leveraging my W2 money and putting that into my down payment. Then I discovered DSCR loans and hard money lenders. Talked to Brandon, my man over there. And, so just being around positive people and mentors and coaches and just being in them conversations when you feel awkward and you're by yourself in the corner, don't do that. Go around the people and be like, introduce yourself. You guys already know this because you're realtors, but just being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So that's how it started. If that makes sense.
Now we're gonna have Lisa. Okay.
Good morning.
Morning. Question, Lisa. How do you balance your time with work and family?
So it's very important, actually, when we back up a little, I have over 25 years experience in real estate. I've only been a licensed realtor since 2021, but I used to work for a very prestige company in Old City. One second in Chestnut, they're mainly around those properties. They own the whole entire Old City. I managed over 500 units. And I managed 3 different parking lots, one from Samson, on 3rd and Fairmount, and also on Furnace Garden. I also manage 11 entities, different industry needs. So I wear all these different hats while still being employed by this company. I resigned in 2018 when I asked for a certain pay because, of course, as Latinos, we don't get the pay that we want. So I resigned, and then I started doing my own thing. I took to find properties. I took everybody out of my house. I bought my first property, and I paid like $17,000 on it. I like buying properties that are at the auction, which I like cheap stuff. And I took that house. I held on for a while. I rented it out. I was making good money, and it was about that. And I was able to rent it out, and I was able to bank. I was making like $1,800 a month on it, and then I ended up selling it for $205,000, like 5 years later. So after I got that money, I could find properties, I could do things. Everything that I do is for my kids. I have two boys, I have 21 right here, and I bring them with me because he needs to be exposed to this, and it's very important to me. To me, family is first. With me is God and family and real estate. I mean, with real estate, this is all material stuff to me. At the end of the day, you want to grow a bond with your children, you want to be able to teach them that you get out with them, and at the end of the day, you go back to them. Whether it's a partner, whether it's a son, family member, whomever. And we also have friends that become like families. Once they don't have it, there's always a special bond with somebody that you have. So it's important to me with family. So I have to balance that. I mean, if I'm going out with my son, I'll leave my cell phone at home. This is on a personal phone. But yeah, we tap out. We sit, we talk about, stuff that's happening. It's like, he knows it, like, oh, but we have to teach them this, because as Latinos, they don't teach us this, and we don't have any, I guess, a system. And I want to change that, like, as far as, break that generational curse that in the past, we haven't did this in my household. Like, I'm the first to actually have gone to this level. I mean, I even made it something a lot of times. But I want to be able to give that, so it's important to me.
So this good question. What defines a successful property management?
Successful property management company is getting stuff done. Is getting out when an investor is calling you and they're telling you, hey, listen, I need you here. I get a lot of calls. They get the fast lines to be the property management company, and they will tell me, hey, please, can you go out and go to the property as a gas leak or somebody needs access? We have to be available. We have to be available, and also have a relationship with your clients when they trust each other. I've dealt with a lot of realtors where they second guess or they, oh, well, let me ask. With the people that I work with, they trust. If I'm going to make any decisions, I do make decisions on their behalf. And they will be okay with the fact because they trust, and I bring that trust in that relationship.
So trust is
Very important.
So now we're gonna go to the next part. We're gonna be dinner. So now I guess Martin and I kind of know I do well everybody, but I made a mistake because they shouldn't do this, right? So you understand what this is.
Yeah, so I'm Dylan Suarez. I started about a year and a half ago in the industry. Been going well so far for me. I'm with Verity Real Estate, formerly known as Keller Real Estate. It's been very educational and has really helped me get to the level where I'm at right now, but still trying to be greater. So my intro.
My questions, they have to do with that action. What are your struggles as a first year?
So probably one of the biggest struggles that I dealt with was removing myself from the outcome of the deal. It was one of those things where you get so focused, especially if you're full time, you get so focused on that commission and the payout that it doesn't happen and you don't get to the closing table for whatever reason. You cripple in this industry and in any sales industry. And I had one deal in particular that was right before the holidays last year. I was about, say, like 4 or 5 months in. It's a nice deal for me. It was around the 500 mark. Ultimately, didn't end up getting to the closing table, and carefully, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was just out of it, a little depressed, a little down about it. That's one thing that I feel now I'm much better at. Say it does happen. We try not to let it happen like that, but for any reason, the deal does fall apart. It's normal. You gotta just remove yourself from that outcome. Just focus one step at a time and get to the closing table. It's one thing that's helped me not really stay stuck on, past deals or, unfortunate circumstances. So, yeah, it's a struggle that will happen to everyone, especially at the start, and something you really have to work through.
We're all trying to know already here. This is the first year. Next question. What are your goals and how do you try?
So I have a lot of different goals, but I would say the short-term goal for me would be hit the 6 million mark a year and kind of have that as my average volume per year. The way I've been tracking that is since I started, I really wanted to get at least a deal a month, or at least get something in the contract, a deal a month. I've been progressing to the point where this year I think I'm averaging a deal a month, but obviously the next goal would be 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, and so on. There are certain ways I track it, but I would say the most effective for me would be using my calendar for everything, writing all my dates down at the beginning of the month, and then every week, basically planning out my entire week to the to the hour, basically. Really helps me keep on track. And believe it or not, like a vision board is very helpful with your goals. Just constantly envision yourself where you want to be and where you're gonna go. Believe that yourself, and the mind is incredible. It'll get you there.
You get the belt now. I think I skipped that. So do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Samantha Rodriguez, and,
And I said,
oh, Pete, I'm sorry.
I said, Jane, I said,
I'm so Jane.
I said,
My name is Gene Cruz. I work with Taylor Living and Center City Development. I've been in the real estate industry since 2018. I started as a bookkeeper, slowly climb my way to become a financial controller for both entities. I'm in the real estate investment.
okay. So now, last question. How did you learn about building construction?
I learned about building construction, working in Center City Development. I started just doing regular bookkeeping duties, got more involved into the actual budgeting of the projects, management of the projects, communicating with the contractors, which I know is really a lot of fun. Payments, scheduling, construction draws. Then I started going into financing. I started becoming very friendly with the bankers. That's sarcasm right there. Did a lot of negotiation, learned about loan sizing, learned about building interest reserves. So it just snowballed from there. It got really, really interesting, and I saw the proceeds, and I figured, well, I want to leave my kids something, and definitely leave something.
So, can you tell us about your role as a controller for people?
As a controller, I review the books. That's primarily my role. I also ensure that the company has financial health, right? I do budgeting, planning, I try to set targets, I work with payroll, I provide salary suggestions, I do bonus structure compensation, I review commission structures, there's a lot of things I didn't know what I think about it.
I don't know how to see this.
I do. I was actually had a control issue. I accept that. I was a control freak. My background is in accounting, so from the public accounting, I was a control freak. So I had to hire one virtual assistant. It took me about a year to get her up to speed, and then I realized, oh, one is not enough for everything I do. So I have a second one doing property management. I also do property management. I manage a 250 unit project portfolio. And then I recently hired a third virtual assistant to, and we do the books. I'm training them to do the books for all the entities that I manage, which is about 13 entities right now.
That's cool. Okay, now
And I have finished a master's degree. I have 2 kids. One of them has autism. We turned 9 yesterday, and I have an 18-month-old and a beautiful one. So.
So now we're gonna move to the next person, so much with yourself.
I'm Samantha Rodriguez. Started real estate in November. I had a failed business 4 years prior, so I got into real estate because I like the idea of business. And my dad is a contractor, and he also has a few rental properties that he's helped and he's built. And probably rented properties when he came to this country, so it inspired me to get into real estate.
So now, what are your struggles?
So my struggles as a first-year agent is definitely building clientele, and also since I'm young, a lot of people don't trust me. So you encounter a lot of people. I meet a lot of people, and then they go, "Oh, how old are you? Or how long have you been in the business?" And a lot of the times, like, "Oh, I don't want to use you." You know what I mean? Because they want to find somebody with more experience. So I feel as though that's one of my biggest struggles. And I met with so many people, and you go out to so many showings, and listing appointments and you meet so many people, and I know a lot of people, but, you know, when you take into a factor that, you know, you just started in November, you don't really know what you're talking about. I feel as though like now you have to really focus on knowledge. And whereas you want to make a commission and you want to get paid, but you have to gain the trust of these people. So I would say that's the biggest struggle, and definitely the motivation to get up and do it every day when you have to handle rejection. You know, you're handling rejection 24/7 as a new realtor, so definitely finding that motivation within yourself, especially sometimes when you don't have support of other people because other people are doing things. You know, but I definitely take into account that now being part of this team, fully living, since I joined, I feel so much more confident to go to my clients and feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge from them. So definitely thankful for that.
Now, what are the goals?
So my goals really is, I definitely want to close at least a deal a month, and I know for a lot of people in this room, they're like, a deal a month, like, but you know, obviously as a new agent, that's what you want to do. So I want to close the deal a month, but what I really focus on is just lead generation, whether it be 30 minutes to an hour of my day, if I can find it, you know what I mean, whether it be social media. I feel like a lot of people don't leverage social media, and they don't make it big. It's a huge thing, I feel like, nowadays, starting a business. And I learned from starting my own business, social media helped me grow so much. So whether it be posting on social media, recording content, and also just going out, we're not getting cold calling. And again, touching that topic of rejection, it's fun, but you gain a lot of experience, and then it builds up your personal confidence. So I think that's, and I track it through my calendar. I mean, really.
Now, we open for questions.
So, I see this stats, appreciate everyone. So can you tell me what qualifies Latino or Hispanic in terms of the budgets?
Well, that's a good question. So I basically, well, you mean like culture wise?
Is it language, culture based? Like
What do you consider? Well, actually, Hispanic and Latino are two different words, right? Hispanic is somebody who's Spanish descendant from Spain that was born in the Americas, right? So it will be first generation. If you talk to people that speak Spanish, they will call them criollos, which is what it means, but it's more like first generation. Now, Latino will be everybody that speak a language based on that. So that can be like French, that can be Portuguese, that can be Spanish, Romania, actually. So it's one of those, maybe that. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but I don't forget the name. So Latinos basically is everybody that speaks one of those languages. Right. That are in Latin. Questions?
Yeah, I'm there. Alright, so this is coming from Tess over here. Okay. So my name is Smith. Thank you to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion co-chairs for all your incredible work from the salsa night to these panels. I started DEI in 2020 during the pandemic with Amber Noble and Algernon and others. So it's been transformative to see the programming KW has developed over the years. Hopefully we can have an Asian American panel next year during AAPI Heritage Month. To the Hispanic American real estate professionals at Keller Williams and throughout the country, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. And gracias a la comunidad hispana por todas sus contribuciones a los Estados Unidos. Muchas gracias. There is approximately 19.8% Hispanic Americans in the U.S. with $3.7 trillion GDP, the fifth largest in the world. The Hispanic American community, like the Asian American community, is not a monolith. It is made up of many ethnicities and countries with its own culture, linguistics, and geopolitics. The Asian American community have dozens of ethnicities and languages. Most Hispanics speak Spanish, Portuguese, and some other language under Latino umbrella. So my question is, what are some of the intersectional sociocultural connections and geopolitical dynamics between the communities under the Hispanic American Latino umbrella and as it relates to housing and real estate? Thank you.
Now, anybody?
Why don't we try to phrase that in simple, in like.
No,
what are some of the intersectional dynamics between all of the different ethnicities? So you guys, I know you're Puerto Rican. You guys.
Like culture, specific culture, but all of the same thing, the same music, around being on the same, yeah, family.
Is, well, what I can tell you is that there are differences, right? But there are more similarities than differences. And it's not until you get to like start talking to them, like from different countries, for example, I'm Peruvian, right? In Peru, I'm Peruvian, here I'm Latino, right? Yeah. But Peru has always that issue with Chile and Ecuador. But when I meet them here, we're all friends. Actually, I get really along with this from Ecuador. Like I have more people from Ecuador are my friends than Peruvian people. So I feel like there's always a common ground. And I feel like especially people from South America identify themselves pretty well because of similarities, right? But also when you speak with people, you have to understand their dialects because every person has a different word that they might use for something. It's always easy to understand it as long as you know the whole sentence. If they just give the word, you might not know it, but if they give the whole sentence, then you won't understand it. And I feel like communication is key because people, let's say from the islands, the Caribbean, they have a very specific dialect, right? But you can understand it as soon as they speak clearly and slow, right? And then you have like, yeah.
People have different, like, Colombian people, Spaniard, but it's like my Colombian side, the food is totally different than the Cuban side, and the customs as well is totally different. Because the Cuban side, there's a lot of African descendants, and that culture is the Cuban community, and the Colombian side is totally, it's like everyone has their own customs and their own food as well. So and the island too. So you definitely want to ask somebody what their nationality is before you assume. Because if people get offended,
Where you from? Where are you really from?
I feel like, right, because it's like anybody, right? Doesn't matter if you're Latino, Asian, doesn't matter, right? Every person has different styles of communication, right? So you need to understand if they like text message, phone use, how do they like to communicate? Are they more like into numbers? If they're into numbers, you need to show the numbers to them. If they're more like emotional, then you know how you're gonna communicate. So I feel like you might have many countries, but at the end, like they have a lot of similarities what you can come together.
I think at the end of the day, we all have a go part because we all come from life. I mean, I was raised with a lot of good, like old school, like morals and values, especially from Puerto Rico. And I don't know if anybody knows even how Puerto Rico passport because we're a territory of the United States. So, and you all should know, we just came from the West part of it. But at the end of the day, everybody is different in our cultures, but at the end, it's all, we love our family, and we're very close with our family, and we're very passionate with the stuff that we do with them. That's what I have to say
about being in real estate in a minority, how did the Hispanic community tackle credit? Because it's like, so I grew up in the South, I'm from a Black community, but some of my cousins grew up in a Black and Hispanic community. I have a lot of cousins that are actually both. In our entire community, credit is like a thing we all joke about, like our parents didn't take it as serious as other people. Today, a lot of Hispanics are able to, for the last several years, purchase homes, and advance majority in the African American community. How did y'all tackle credit? Credit is part of it. How did y'all overcome that hump?
For me, it was just knowledge too. Like, people don't know how to buy a house or what they need to buy a house or how many years they need to have employment. So when I started, it was more educating my people. And when you start reaching little circles, you know, with my tío, my tia, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, and I got to educate them on how do you even start. So for me, it's just the knowledge. As I'm learning, I'm acting like I know it, right? Because you fake it till you make it when you start. But it's like Martin, what I tell them, Martin, cool. And then I call them, but for me, it was just helping them with that. And then if credit was a roadblock, then remove the credit professional, whatever, for me.
Libby, I want to help you with that too. I come from a Latina and out of the house. And one thing that she kept saying, I have a lot of girlfriends from Northeast, they're all Puerto Rican, and you're right, family is like the center of our culture, and we're super family based. And my Cuban side of the family, we didn't necessarily have education about credit and stuff like that initially, but one thing that helped us is one, we have multiple generations living under one roof. Like we don't send our parents off to homes and stuff like that. So when you have multiple generations under one roof, you have multiple adults with income coming in. So we were able to come together and purchase property before some other families around us or whatever, because of that family. We were like there to support each other and financially, emotionally, whatever. And then like the younger generations I saw, like I felt like I was on the cusp, and also because I was a woman, it was a little different with the auto mix, because they didn't care if I went to college or not, they just wanted me to get married. But you know, thank God I had very strong women, especially on my Cuban side, and they were like, no, like I ran away in the military, and they were the only ones not pissed, okay, everybody else was pissed. But we supported each other, so we were able to buy that. So even though I was like told don't buy anything unless you have cash, so we still didn't like really do the credit thing. Because we would have family support, we had multiple incomes, and we could pile our cash together. We were able to get into that, and then the younger generations were more savvy than us about this whole credit and getting money and you know, hard money or whatever, and getting mortgages and being more conscious about credit. But initially, that hump you're talking about was like a generation ago, and it was literally because we had multiple adults providing, you know, earning in a household to get over that.
I do want to say something as well. Yeah, like a big thing is being a role model for your family. I'm like not forgetting about them. And I'm New York region, you know, born and raised in Queens, New York. So like a lot of my family's still in New York. And when I got into real estate, all they do is ask me questions now. Every time I see them, and I don't shoot them off. I try to give them as much knowledge as I can. I know they appreciate that, and I feel like that's one thing every culture should do. Just don't forget about your family, and when you learn something, pass it on to them, and that's how it continues.
We talk a lot about overt racism that is experienced. Are there more subtle or passive forms of racism that you experience as Latino Hispanic people in the real estate market that maybe are, like I said, not as obvious, not something that we would like be really diligent about, but that we can be aware of as we maybe check our own microaggressions or things along the way that help us kind of be on top of looking for more passive forms of racism in our industry?
The only
No,
It's a really big one.
yeah, it's a sensitive topic that a lot of people shy away from because people don't like controversy, but it's